I'm Megan Mitchell. This is my co-host, Jon Morrison, and you are listening to the True North Racing Podcast.
Time to strap in, pull those belts, and get ready for an action-packed episode of the True North Racing Podcast. Are you ready to unhelmet your favorite racers? Get ready for the most fun you'll have outside the racetrack to get you ready for the next race. You're listening to Jon Morrison and Megan Mitchell, and this is the True North Racing Podcast.
Welcome back to a new week of the True North Racing Podcast. Joining me is always our amazing co-host, Megan Mitchell. And joining me up in my, I don't know which corner this one's going to be, but just up over here, we got Brandon Feeney, the host of the Feeney Call and driver number 38 super stock over there at Peterborough Speedway. Guys, how are y'all doing?
All right.
The silence is deafening. I love this.
I'm doing all right. Just my cars don't like me today, so we'll hopefully get that fixed before we start racing.
Absolutely. So what happened today, man? Like, I know we just talked about it off here, but of course now we got to bring it on air. You can't tell me something and then we're just gonna we're not gonna gloss over it. We're gonna talk about it.
Yeah, you say something like that to Jon and have him not bring it up.
I know Megan hates me because like there will be something she'll bring up off air or like through messages like we're gonna talk about it. I'm sorry if you don't want to talk about it, you better not tell me.
Or at least tell you afterwards.
Or tell exactly.
But what happened was I unloaded the super stock to go pick up the mini stock that like nobody knows I have half the time. Even I forgot I had it for 2 months. But yeah, freaking I unloaded the super stock, drove out no problem, pumped the tires up, parked in the driveway. Went up to go get the mini stock. It wasn't happy from sitting all winter, so I fired it up, drove in the trailer, hissing, spitting, all that stuff. It needs some maintenance. To then drop it off at the sponsor's place to get the new numbers and etc. like that and make it look prettier because it's not going to be a full-time car. So, and to get it back home, and the super stock is now hissing, spitting, and shooting black smoke and fireballs at the exhaust, and good times.
See, that's not a good way to start the year.
At least I'm finding out now, not at the racetrack later.
That is absolutely true. That's probably one of the worst feelings in the world is you guys work on these cars all winter and you get to the track and now you just spent I don't know what $50 to get in, $40 to get in roughly, to find out you can't run that night because something's wrong with your car. It's better to find out beforehand than to get to the track.
Yeah, we've all had that. I've even super stock 2018 or 19, I showed up to Sunset, my first ever time running Sunset, and in the lineup on the back chute, we shut the cars down for a red flag for the mini stocks to find out my car would not refire, and it was an automatic, and it would not take a push start.
So what was the issue?
Some guy had the alternator still turned on, so it drained the battery in 15 minutes.
Was that guy named Brandon Feeney?
Possibly, yes. Neither confirm nor deny.
Oh boy. Megan, let's jump over to Megan here real quick. Megan, thank you for joining us. You're feeling a little bit under the weather still, right?
Yeah.
You got a nasty bug going through you.
Yeah.
That's not good. So I know, I don't know if we really want to talk about it, but you work in a daycare setting kind of thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for you, kind of, you're going to be exposed to this stuff.
Oh yeah, constantly.
Yeah, we missed you last week. You missed a hell of a time with Tyler Hahn.
I was excited for that one too. So that was like, wow.
He was such a cool guy to talk to. I think the episode turned out really well. I'm not going to be honest. But of course, it's always great to have you back, even if we're just going to be, you're just going to stick around for the intro today, right? So that way you can get some rest.
I think so, yeah.
Because like I told you, this is just a podcast. Your health is number one.
I take it as my second job though. Like,
but you have a relaxed boss with this one that cares about your health.
Fair.
Right? So, you know, it sucks that you weren't here last week. You know, you've been battling some stuff, but we're gonna get over a few things here because we're gonna put it on hold. Do you still have that drink we gave you last time? Or did you drink it on us?
I ended up drinking it.
Now I'm upset because
what drink did you have?
I said that.
I know it's Dr. Pepper something.
It is.
It was the strawberries and cream.
Oh, that's so good.
I said that to my mom too as I drank, and I'm like, Fred, I know I was supposed to do it with John this past podcast, but then I was sick, so I wasn't on there. And I don't know if I should have waited.
It made her feel better, John.
Huh?
It made her feel better.
I hope it made you feel better.
But I felt guilty as I drank it. My mom's like, you should just keep the can and fill it up with something else and pretend to drink it on the next one.
Oh my god, that's okay, because I did already have one beforehand. I still got one just up over here. I'm not gonna worry about drinking it today, but we're gonna have so that's gonna skip a whole segment we're gonna have. We're gonna have our own little Dr. Pepper trying here.
My bad.
But
I gotta try it first.
Yeah, of course. Brandon over there had to try it first. But I think we came up with a pretty cool idea for a new segment for the podcast. We're gonna call it JoMos Finds. Or Jomo Goes in Tiki. I don't know what we're gonna call it yet, but but so yesterday, guys, we went out. I went to Cambridge. We did some cake tasting because next year Jacqueline and myself are getting married, so we got a lot to do for the wedding, and one of them is getting to go try some cake. First of all, I'm gonna let y'all know, Megan, you're gonna be very happy with the cake. It's gonna taste delicious.
Nice.
We're gonna have a carrot cake top, which we're not sure if that's gonna make it home. Then we're gonna have chocolate and vanilla as the other two layers. And oh my god, I just want to go buy some cupcakes from this place.
Has anyone ever made a Dr. Pepper cake?
I was just thinking that.
Like that strawberries and cream flavor, but that strawberries and cream flavor that we all tested without telling each other, basically. Imagine that as a cake.
You know what? All right. So after this, we're gonna go find a freaking recipe for a Dr. Pepper cake if there is one. I'm sure there is one.
I think you'd have to let the Dr. Pepper go flat and then add it.
I think so too. But I think that's going to give a lot more of the strawberry flavor instead of the Dr. Pepper kick.
But that's what you want. You have that little bit of strawberry section.
That's true.
But then it's still a Dr. Pepper cake.
Didn't you even talk before about doing like a Jomo Bakes type?
Cooking with Jomo.
Cooking with Jomo.
Yeah. There you
That's
go.
a segment we really should like. Cooking with Jomo. Let's see. That could be a whole YouTube series, I think. With some of the stuff I try to do, I think we can make that a whole YouTube series. But we're gonna on the podcast, we're gonna do a JoMos Finds, because one of the things I like to do is when I go antiquing or which sounds weird because I'm only 30. I shouldn't be antiquing yet. But you know what the cool part about it is that one of the places I go to, they do carry some NASCAR stuff. And it's not necessarily vintage or classic or anything like that. There's still some like nostalgia there, right? So we're going to kick it off this week, with the number 35 Tabasco car.
With a different finish as well.
Yeah, it's like a 143rd. Right? So it's actually really cool.
It's got the same finish as that Tony Stewart car almost I had.
It kind of does. No, it's not as shiny.
It's not like the glitter finish?
No, it's not a glitter finish. But it's the same size of my Ted Musgrave number 16. So I got a great pairing just up over here now with those two cars. Another thing that we came across was again, like this stuff is like stupid cheap for the most part. Is like there was 3 other cars there I could have bought. I didn't, and that is strictly because they're not the kind of cars I want.
Is this a bad time to tell you that I know there's a 143rd Tasmanian Devil Earnhardt car?
Is it at the place that in
I
Milton?
go all the time. No, it's a place I go in
Oh,
Oshawa.
it's Oshawa.
Yeah, it's where I get my $20 diecast, but the Earnhardt ones I think are 40.
So Megan, you need to let me know a weekend that Cody's free to come visit me, and then him and I can go to Oshawa. And
Yeah.
then Feeney, you need to meet us there.
They were just in Oshawa this weekend too,
Are
actually.
they really?
Were they at
Yeah.
the markets?
I don't know. They were at Cody's parents' house. I don't know what else they did.
Well, clearly he's not hitting up the market. One of the other things we came across was this race bricks, and it's obviously laser printed, but it's Jeff Gordon one.
Oh, the DuPont car. I was really hoping it was a Pepsi to go with your can.
That I know, right? So there's that. This one I'm actually really impressed with, and this one was tucked away in a corner. So like I'm really surprised I got this out, but it is a stock car racing magazine from April 1969.
And it's in great shape too.
It's in fantastic shape. Like I feel bad for touching it, and it didn't have a sleeve or anything like that. So like, look at this. Coming up next month, they'll have the World Championship Formula V race report. Profile the 68 Grand National Champion David Pearson. Like, oh my god, 24 hours of Daytona race recap, 500 qualifications. Like it's incredible. Like the shape this thing is in. I need to put that down before I wreck it, and need to get a sleeve for it. But the last thing I got yesterday, and again, anything I got was relatively like this. This what I'm about to show you guys next was the most expensive thing I picked up. Everything else was less than $850.
Oh,
That
wow.
brick in the car were $850 a piece. That magazine was $5. This was $25.
Ooh, big spender on this one.
The funny part was that they couldn't figure out almost like if it was from their section or if it was from the other store that they have inside the same area. So there's an antique market plus a nostalgia store, which is really cool. But this one is a Coca-Cola 600 hat. Okay. Again, looks pretty bland, right? This is the part that's kind of cool though. What date does that read?
The race that never happened.
May 24th, 2020.
Oh, true.
It was postponed due to COVID. Yeah.
Limited edition, 189 of 600.
Oh, wow.
And it's even got a pin on the back there, which is actually like it weighs the hat down quite a bit. But yeah, like $25.
Holy.
So I like going to antique markets. There's one down by St. Catharines I would like to hit up because there's a lot of NASCAR stuff there from what I'm told. And of course I got to believe my mother-in-law because she's the one that loves antiquing. So but that's that. I think that's gonna be a new segment, maybe like every month or so. If I go antiquing or something, or go find something that I think would be really cool to show on here, we're gonna bring it up on the show, talk about it. It's because like we got this cool little diecast right here, Brandon.
It's one of your only signed ones. There's like what?
It
two
is my
signed
only
ones now?
signed one. It's only my.
Didn't
it's
Gary
my
sign
only...
his?
He signed the box. I'm not a fan of having the car signed, which is gonna sound really weird. I'd rather have the box that came in signed than the actual car itself, because when I display the car, it then looks like it's like ready to race. Does that make sense? Whereas
But
yours kind of reminds me of Ricky Bobby and the Fig Newton sticker.
That's how I race though. Yeah, I'm either first or I'm last. That's how last year went.
Hey, no, you finished fourth like 4 races in a row.
Or broke my car and tried finishing anyway.
Exactly. But no, I think that's gonna be like a cool little revolving series we'll have on here. You know, I don't know how many times I'm gonna get to go out like this much anymore because you got a wedding to pay for and that ain't cheap.
Mm-mm.
So I was surprised when I saw this, or Jacqueline actually found this, and she's like, "How much is it?" I'm like, "It's $850." She's like, "Just get it." I'm like, "All right, I'm not gonna say no."
Twist
Say
my
less.
rubber arm.
But twist my arm. But oh my god, it was I love. So if anyone wants to go, it is Southworks. It's in Cambridge on Water Street. They have 3. So you guys know the 13 car I got, right?
Yeah.
The like 1940s coupe. So they have 3 of those still. They have I know they have a Bill Elliott, and his is like a wagon. And then they have like a couple other ones. You know which one I'm talking about, don't you, Feeney?
I'm not going to tell you that the guy in Oshawa has 4 of those, all different and bigger. They are like 1/18.
Size queen.
Don't be hating.
But yeah, they got a couple of those still. They got a couple of ones that I would love to have them. Because 2 of them are Dodge Daytonas. The problem is that the price on them is a little too much for what they are. You know, one is actually broken, and they want like I think $50-$60 for one this size.
Yeah.
Like they're 143rd, and they want $50-$60. I'm like, I can't do that. Then they wanted 3, I think it was like $100 for a 164th one of the Flock brothers. I think it was Tim. Or
Is it like a 1 of 1? Like that's
I don't know. Like it's you can touch it. Like it's not in a case. Like you would think something like that, like there'd be more predominant. Like I found that 13 in a case, and I had to get someone to get it, and it was $30.
we need to call Cam and find out how much that thing's worth.
It was a 164th. It wasn't even. It was like one of the baby ones. It wasn't even like a 43rd or a 24 or anything like that.
I know, but it might be one of those rare that they only made like 10 of them because
I
like the car was never run or something like that. That might be what it is.
but I found on remember that auction I sent you a few weeks ago there?
Yeah,
The
bids or
NASCAR
whatever it
auction.
is.
Yeah, high bids. They had that same exact car, and you know how much it went for, and it pissed me off.
450.
It went for $10. $10.
It's probably the same car. They bought it for 10. They're trying to sell it for 100.
No, but that was a 1/24th scale.
No.
That wasn't a 1/64th. Because I think the next day we went to Southworks, and that's when I found a couple other things, and I saw that car. I was like, "Oh, dude, I saw that car last night," but it was a 1/64th, not a 1/24th. I'm like, but I look at the person, I'm like, I can't justify that.
No. I would have made fun of you for that. I'm like, I could have brought you down. I think the ones that are 1/18th, I think he's selling for like $50-$60.
Yeah, I need to make a little road trip out to Oshawa and maybe drop $100 without Jacqueline knowing. Maybe I can swing it so like we can say that like Cody bought him.
Or they're more gifts from Feeney.
Yeah, exactly. I still need to get you that damn shirt.
Yeah.
That's coming. That's gonna be coming in soon. Actually, I gotta send off an order to John Carly, because I don't know. I'm sure you guys saw it. We now have an official printing partner of JoMos Media and Promotions, and we brought on John Carly of Georgetown Printing. So if anyone is looking for their hero cards to get printed, first of all, I highly recommend going to Megan's sister Rachel over at Graphic Design Studio. Get your hero cards made up, and then take them over to John Carly and get them printed up. He has a really, really good deal. I wish I remember what it was, but he has a really, really good deal on hero cards. They're very inexpensive. They're good quality. Like I think Scott Tonelli used John last year. I know you guys did in 2021.
Yeah.
So like they're really good quality. They just but yeah, if anyone is looking for hero cards to get done, I highly recommend using Rachel to get the design done, and then sending them over to John Carly and getting them printed from there. He's got a really good deal. He loves supporting local racers. He loves supporting racing. Hell, he's the general manager at Speedway. So like he if anyone loves racing, it's him. So yeah, if anyone's looking for that stuff, give him a shout. I'm just trying to think of a few things now. But anyways, tonight's guest, we're bringing on John Baker Jr. Brandon knows a lot about him. That is, we're bringing in. This week is kind of fun because Megan and I usually we like to just kind of guess and learn as they talk, kind of thing. Feeney knows John from a long time ago, I guess, and sometimes it's good to bring on an expert. And this is the one
First time I've been called an expert.
This is one of the rare times we're going to give Feeney the benefit of the doubt here and call him an expert.
Jon has definitely made my car a lot faster many times.
And that's what we appreciate you coming on tonight, man. I'm trying to first of all, guys, we gotta talk about this. What can okay. I know I do a lot of talking on here and I'm sorry. But
he's gonna podcast or something to talk on.
I know, right? I guess I need my own show all of a sudden. But no, so what did you guys think of the practices being called as early as they did? Let's be honest here. I have my own opinion because I felt stupid on Saturday. I'm going to be honest.
My opinion is I wasn't ready anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just hoping to bring the mini stock down next week to run that show and shake it down before I start renting it out.
I mean, I'm pretty much the same. Like, I mean, our cars were not ready anyway, so I was just going to Flamboro to watch and just be there. But like, I'm 20 minutes away from Flamboro. I mean, I was sick all day yesterday anyway, so I wasn't outside. So I could be wrong, but I didn't think it rained yesterday. I might be wrong. I don't know. But
No, it definitely.
That's not Dr. Pepper.
I ran to Metro before dinner and they didn't have any Dr. Pepper. So
how are you out?
How am I not out?
You were just out shopping yesterday and you didn't get any Dr. Pepper?
Did I say I went to a Walmart or something?
Game.
I went to Southworks. I didn't go to a Walmart. Actually, they do have Dr. Pepper cherry there, so I did have a Dr. Pepper cherry on my way home yesterday, which lasted all of maybe 30 seconds. As only a Dr. Pepper cherry should. It goes down nice and smooth. You know what? Maybe I need to try that with Fireball.
Ooh.
And see what happens. That could be very dangerous.
Yeah.
What's that alcoholic drink that when you mix it tastes like Dr. Pepper? Imagine mixing that with Dr. Pepper.
Oh my God. We tried it.
We did, yeah. Is it
your mom and dad might know.
I feel like it was like no, not Corona.
It was Corona and
is it Corona and Amaretto?
I think so, yes.
Okay. Yeah, we did try it.
What'd you think of it though? Like, I know it's been a while since we did, but
yeah, it's been a while, so I'm not 100% sure. I'm pretty sure it did taste like Dr. Pepper though.
It did. Corona and Disaronno.
Okay.
Yeah, I just looked it up for us.
Quick now, imagine that mixed with Dr. Pepper.
Oh,
so you get like
that's gonna go down way too smooth.
Well, I don't like the new Monster Rehab side drink.
What is that?
You forget their energy drinks because they're not carbonated, so like you can pound back like 3 or 4 of them in like an hour.
Oh my God. Dude, that is terrible.
Yeah, I know.
I think that's okay. So I'm gonna speak about this for a second because we got off track, obviously. So my opinion on the rain out yesterday is I wanted the tracks to feel stupid. I'm gonna be honest, because I want racing to happen so bad.
Yeah.
So I was like, they were like, you're like, oh, we're canceling tomorrow. It's like, you guys are dumb. And then I'm going out to Kitchener yesterday morning, and I was like, maybe they were smart. Because then we went to, like I said, we went to Southworks. As we left, so we had to go pick up Maverick from a birthday party at 2:00. So at 1:30 yesterday, the roads in Cambridge at least were dry, not a speck of water on them. I was like, these guys were stupid. They called it early. We could have ran practice still. Because I was supposed to come next weekend I'm still probably going to Flamboro next weekend, but I was really hoping to crew with Feeney, because he was telling me that he wanted to bring the mini stock down to give it a shaker, and I was like, I'll, if you need crew, I'll help. He asked if I would be a crew. Pretty much, I said, yeah, I'd probably help out. But yeah, like, now I'm going for practice. It's like, great, now I can shoot a lot of content to get ready for the season. But yeah, I wanted the tracks to feel stupid, and I was wrong, but like I was kind of right. So I feel like we could have.
Now that I think about it, I'll take back what I said, because thinking about it more, I did wake up this morning and like our little dirt track was like full of mud. And I also slept until 4:30 yesterday. So I don't
yeah.
know.
Feeney, did you hear about that?
Hear about what?
Megan building a dirt track on their property.
I have seen videos. I didn't realize it was out on their property, but I have seen videos.
Oh yeah.
Just remember, I know about some dirt tracks that don't exist officially too, right?
Yeah. So Megan, you want to tell us about the what are you guys calling it? MRC Raceway?
We don't really know yet. We don't even really know if we're supposed to be doing this, because we rent this property and we don't know who this field belongs to.
Hey,
so
no one's using it.
Well, that's our thought exactly. We were told that we could use it to build a garden, so we built the dirt track instead.
Hey, you're
Same thing.
ready. You're getting ready for planting. You're gonna plant potatoes. Just say that.
Well, that's what I said. I'm like, we could plant pumpkins or something in the middle. I don't know. Like
MRC pumpkin patch and raceway.
It's funny because this house it's called the pumpkin patch.
Is it really?
That's what the previous owners used it for.
Oh wow.
So maybe we'll call it that, the pumpkin patch race.
Yeah.
So it's been
man. All right, guys. I think we're ready to bring in driver number 63, John Baker Jr. What do you guys think?
I think so.
All right, guys. But before we do, we're gonna have a quick word from our presenting sponsor, Vision 20 Studios. You're diving into Vision 20 Editing. New company with their services providing video editing to get your video perfect and exactly the way you guys are looking for. They also do audio mastering, where they're going to take your audio into crisp and clear. They're bringing your vision to life. That is right. At Vision 20 Editing, we want to make sure that your vision comes to life in the way you want it. Find us on Facebook and Instagram at Vision 20 Studios. Now let's get back to the True North Racing Podcast. Joining us this... There's Sandra going off in the background over there. This week on the True North Racing Podcast, we are sitting down with the driver number 63, John Baker Jr. John, how are you?
Spectacular, thank you. How about yourself?
Good, thank you. Welcome to the show. I know you got a familiar face up over here with Brandon Feeney joining us this week as a guest co-host, as our super sub, as we like to call it over here, because we figured this week this is the only time I think everyone's ever going to call him an expert in any subject. He knows a lot about you, and when I said that we got you coming on, he's like, hey man, can I be a guest host? I said, absolutely. So we got Feeney in the house tonight to help us out.
Awesome.
So first of all, John, we want to know, because I'm going to be honest, I don't know too much about you. Like I said, I like to learn as I go here. What car do you race and where do you run?
So currently I run OMRS Modifieds, which is incredibly similar to the Oscar Modifieds, only has like a heavier rear end, recap tires, old-fashioned brakes, and the ride height's a bit higher, a couple different body rules. But essentially most of the motor parts are the same, packages are the same, transmissions, all that kind of stuff is all pretty much at par. So we run that car specifically at Peterborough and Flamboro.
Okay. Now I'm hoping that I'll be there tonight that you guys run so I can see I've seen these cars run before. I know I have. But it'd be actually good to knowing, and now I know a driver in the series. It's gonna be better because now I could cheer on someone.
Perfect. Yeah. If you want to throw some cameras at the car, if you're there that night, throw some cameras on it.
I love how I'm just almost like known now as the GoPro guy because like everyone's like, "Hey man, can you put a GoPro in my car?" Yeah, if I got a spare one that night, sure. But no, absolutely, I would love to put. I've been doing some crazy stuff with my GoPros. I think the craziest thing I've done so far is put a rear facing on the back of a Pro Late model.
Nice. That's cool. No, I since we talked a while back when you asked me if I could come on the program, and we were trying to get my schedule sorted out to work with your schedule, I have watched pretty much every one of your episodes. I was so nervous about doing this, so I kind of just trying to sort of turn you into a buddy by watching it to get a little pressure off me. So I think we're going to be good today. So,
Feeney looked like you had something you wanted to say there.
I was going to say, we'll get the towel to dab his forehead so he's not sweating so bad. This is first date all over again.
Yeah. Forehead's getting taller now that I'm getting older. Everything's thinning off. I only have to get my hair cut on the sides now. I save money.
But it's weight reduction in the race car.
Yeah. Oh, fair enough. Yeah. Last year I ended up losing 60 pounds in total. It was kind of neat to carry that bricker of lead around and put it in the car and actually see what all that hard work paid up to. So.
Oh, that's awesome to hear. So you lost 60 pounds in last year alone?
Yep.
That's awesome, man. Congratulations.
Thanks. Thank you, man.
That's always good to hear.
I'm trying to get small enough to fit in Feeney's car so he can have a sick day or something.
We could just change the seat out, buddy. It's open to you anytime.
Oh, I'm just gonna get in real hard. That's aluminum seat. I can fix it. It'll fit. If I can push hard enough.
Just sit in and then fart and they'll go poof. It's like a smart car.
Heat it up. Flop in the middle. Yeah.
Oh my god. I can already tell this is gonna be a good episode. So we now know what car you race, kind of where you run. Now we're gonna jump all the way back here. We want to know how you got started in racing and what was your first foray into racing.
So my first memory in racing would have been sitting on my dad's crew chief named Mike Kenner would have been sitting on his shoulders watching my dad race go-kart when I was probably about 3 years old, if I remember. And I remember my dad putting all of the go-karts into some storage lockers and selling them to, in the end, became Jeff Scott, if I remember the story correctly. And then in the driveway at the house appeared a street stock car that my father had built to go to Barrie and Peterborough and various places with. So kind of been around it since as long as I can remember, from dad with the go-karts and then switching over into those cars, and then jumped from that over into, he went into late model and stuff. And we toured with Dick Mahoney and Warren Mahoney, and we would go to the indoors and work for Jack Hewitt, do stuff there. And then, of course, by then, at some point in that time there, around the 95 mark, the bug bit me, and I made it to 18 years old, which my mom had put a big hard no on the old race car thing because she said it cost too much, it took too much time and everything. So it cost me a couple $100 to go buy a motorcycle, bring the motorcycle home, show my mom my new toy. Of course, at that point, I was 18 years old, and she said, "You're not riding that thing, go build a race car." So I took the motorcycle to the scrapyard and went and bought a Camaro off of Bill from Bill's Trucks and drug that Camaro chunk home and turned it into race car number one. And then since then, I've probably spent 2 fortunes worth and worked 8 jillion hours overtime and done everything I could to get to now. I don't know what we at 23 or 24 years of racing now. So, and in that time, we played with all kinds of different stuff. I've done 2 different types of modified cars, did the Oscar tour with the modified. I did a late model car for Freeman Motorsports, I believe about 8 seasons worth. I've had my own Thunder car, or well, I guess they call them super stocks now. We have my own Thunder car. I had mini stock stuff when I ran a little line of cash for a couple of years because life kicks you in the butt sometimes, and ended up selling the original Thunder car that I ran in '99. Built a truck for 2000, ran Thunder truck. That didn't work out too well. Apparently, I was supposed to put that together and go lose a whole bunch of races. As soon as I started winning with it, all the track officials everywhere I took it started losing their cookies, and then we had to get rid of that. And then we went 4-cylinder for a bit, and then which in the end, I think that was definitely my cards, because as much as people get down on the 4-cylinder division stuff, I hold the guys that do that week in and week out. I hold them at a huge prize, because it's way harder than people think in the grandstands. Like, these guys have very limited adjustable stuff in their cars. And I know they can put camber, and we could have a debate for 4 hours on that, but very limited amount of stuff they put in their cars. And they go out and they run side by side, like Peterborough Speedway, the for fun class. Those guys, they put on a show most nights. That is impressive. Not that I'm picking on any other division or my own division for that. But these guys are run 2 wide lap after lap, different people, guys and girls, sorry, different people back and forth. And they're doing it. And they're doing it with a third adjustability of what we have. And it's awesome to watch. So I think that was in my cards for me to end up in a 4-cylinder car and kind of learn how to actually get some laps and bide my time and save my tires. And because later on in life, when I got back into the rear wheel drive cars, I think it's helped me to perform better or more consistently, I think. That's my opinion anyway.
So how long have you been racing the modified then?
So actually, I wrote some notes down today, because I treat every week like a whole new week, brother. It's just like starting over. But anyway,
It's all
I
good.
built this particular car in 2015.
Okay,
Was me, yeah,
that's pretty good.
yeah.
So, Feeney, you got some?
So a big thing is, as you can see, I'm wearing my Baker orange. John,
Good
you're very
boy.
family oriented. So why don't you explain to people who might not know you where the orange came from?
My mom.
I know, but
Well,
not
my
everybody
dad
knows
initially.
you.
Well, so the orange initially was my dad's. The favorite car I remember was my dad's Snow City car, which was a '69 Chevelle, and it was orange and white. And then when I qualified to be allowed to be 18 and had a full-time job and all the stuff that were requirements from my mother, major driving force in my life. When I qualified to be able to do that and had her blessing, I decided I would go with orange and white as per tradition. As crazy it is, my favorite color is actually green, but race cars look super sexy with orange on them, specifically orange and white. In the modified cars, I try to keep the white off the front half of the car, because it's really easy for the people to see in the mirror. So that's why our paint schemes traditionally for a long time now are so that it's harder to see me if I'm in the mirror. So that's kind of why we go with orange and white. And there's been a battle in my family to do this whole, like, this is a black one. Been a huge battle in the family with the whole black and the orange and white and orange and black and colors back and forth. And I can always revert back to, well, mom liked it better when it was orange. And that sort of keeps my fight good with my sister.
That's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah.
So another thing, John, is if anyone's ever like YouTube search John Baker Jr., 1,000 Victory Lane interviews come up of how you've been entertaining. So obviously you have a great personality that suits motorsports and getting people into motorsports. But why, after 20 laps or 100 laps, whatever you run, are you always, no matter the outcome, how have you taken on to be like a bright personality no matter what?
Oh man, that's a good question. It seems crazy. The best way to answer that is pretty simple. When I was 12 years old, I busted my femur, discovered that I was bone marrow deficient. So I got the bone marrow pulled in my leg and they did something to it, put it back in, and literally threw big needles and awful stuff, which I'm now scared of needles, the baby that I am, but okay. And I returned from being held up for 3 months and in the hospital. I started in a wheelchair and went from a wheelchair to crutches to canes to normal walking to, I don't really run because I'm kind of round now, but to what would be the equivalent to running. So I have a pretty good, scope of, today might be my day to end up in victory lane. Today might be my day that I had the best 5th place finish ever. And I think I'm just very fortunate to be out there doing what I get to do, having great people around me that love me and support me, you included, Brandon. But you know what I mean? Just have a good base of people all around me. And I'm fortunate. I've been doing this for 25 years. I have good sponsor help, touch wood, amazing people around me. I have huge respect from most of the guys that I race with. And I mean, that's just awesome. So you can't be having a bad day at the racetrack, because there's somebody who can't have a race car. They're having a way worse day than I'm having. That's probably the best. Just optimist. Just so optimistic.
I feel
But to
that because
keep-
I have a bad day because I don't have a race car.
Well,
I
I'm
told-
sorry, buddy. I'm sorry
I
about
told
that.
you we'll get you in that mini stock.
I don't know if I'll
But
fit.
here's my story. So how about this? So this is a new division that we'll be featuring in Belleville for the 613 race series, and then as well in Oshawa at Extreme. And this is a team associated car, comes absolutely turnkey, ready to go with a controller, everything you need. $500 cash. If you pay for cash at Extreme, you don't have to pay the tax on it. She'll cover the tax for you. So this would be a way for you to get a race car. I'm just saying. Extreme RC Oshawa.
I love that. That was a good sell.
Not bad, eh?
No, that was pretty good. I would buy it
Yeah.
if I didn't have a wedding to pay for.
See,
Oh,
John
you
also
find-
has a wedding to pay for.
Yeah.
My
I got me a superstar this time. I can't wait.
So, John, why don't we bring that up? Why don't you go through the story of how you proposed to Cheryl and what you had to actually go through for how long you were waiting to do it?
Oh, all right. Oh, the wedding stuff. Okay, we'll do it quick. So things changed in my life, and I had a crazy path, and it led me to Cheryl Webster. She's absolutely kick-ass cool. So this is cool. So knowing that I wanted to keep her in my life and put my name on her, or if that's the right way to word it, I'm going to word it that way because there's something cool about being able to call her my wife. And if you're getting married, you understand what I'm talking about. So I talked to her father, got permission, and then talked to a couple key people at the racetrack and mentioned to them that I wanted to do something quiet and private because she's kind of a shy person. So I proposed to her on the front straightaway at the racetrack at Peterborough. And evidently I forgot the ring at home that day, and I did it with a tie strap. So I'm pretty sure we could keep the costs of some of the wedding stuff down, because if a tie strap was good enough for a wedding ring, like what really do we got to throw at the party? You know what I'm saying?
that is awesome.
When you find the one, find the one. That's all there is to it.
So there was also a story of
That
how
is
long you
awesome.
had the ring in the trailer as well, waiting to do it in Victory Lane.
Well, yes, because racing is racing and you don't always know when you're going to win. I drove her dad insane. I asked his permission to marry her, which of course he said yes, no problem. And then I told him I had a game plan, and every Monday he would send me an email and say, "What happened? You asked her yet?" She said yes, everything good, blah, blah, blah. And I kept telling him, "Look, man, I got to win a race first." And then he'd be like, "Well, what are you doing wrong with the car? Make the car faster." Screw it up. Like it was pretty good. It was awesome. So, but yeah, so I finally won, and then I got to do what I wanted to do. So it was cool.
So where did it happen? Like where did you guys propose?
I proposed to her on in Victory Lane at Peterborough.
Now when was that? Because like I was that
Now
this
you're
past
killing
year
me
or
on
was that
dates.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, last summer.
Okay.
Summer.
I believe it was August
Cheryl, I have that
20th.
date memorized. I just can't remember it right now.
I believe it was August 20th because I think it had till the 23rd before the time was up. I think it was
Oh yeah, yeah.
somewhere in that.
That was awesome.
So
That's awesome. Well, congratulations.
Thanks. Yeah. Congratulations to you as well.
Thank you. How's the wedding planning going for you? Because like
So wedding planning, I have visions of what I want, and I think that she's probably at par. And we just got to get all our ducks rolled up. It'll be some kind of a country thing, probably on her family farm, I'm hoping for her. And then it'll have to be after haying season because a couple of my buddies are allergic to hay. Talk about wimps. But anyway, so it'll have to be after haying season. And then I'm sort of hoping to just drag a whole bunch of wood into a big pile somewhere at the bottom of the hill in the front field, and everybody rode their house trailers and trucks and tents and whatever up. And we turn it into a party and a fire and everything that the entire community will remember for a long, long time. That's kind of what I'm hoping for.
now that sounds like a wedding in my opinion.
Yeah.
I got a lot fancier one. I got Cambridge Mill over in Cambridge.
Oh,
And-
nice. That'll be
oh, yeah.
nice.
Not my cup of tea, but like it's beautiful enough. So it's way too nice for a guy like myself to be going. I'm on par with you.
Yeah.
For anyone who knows
Well,
me,
I already
I'm not a
did it once.
fancy guy.
Yeah, I did it once before. So this time the time before was the show one for everybody else. This one's the one for her and I.
Yeah.
So this should be.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Feeney, I wanted to go on some of there.
Yeah. So, John, the misconception of racing is you got to spend a lot of money to be fast. However, you are a guy that puts in tireless amount of research to build speed. So why don't, without giving too much away, go through like some of the processes you use to find tricks in your car to make speed? I know I've seen them, but no one else has. You can
Well,
even use the
before there
RC
was-
cars.
Well, before there was like pull down rigs and all that really cool stuff that I would love to have now, I would strap my car to my car trailer. I would lay pieces of round stock steel underneath the front tires or put just grease underneath them. And I would put the car down the open car trailer and strap it down and see what the tires did and where they went to. I've always used ride height gauges and everything to try and figure out how much the car is moving up and down and back and forth. One time for a bit, I ran a second bar across the top of the front of the frame that went to the sway bar, and I could actually monitor how far the sway bar bent back and forth because I was trying to actually put into my brain how a sway bar really worked. And it was, or how it worked or when it worked or how far it worked. I can't really tell you exactly what, but just to try and better understand that extra fifth spring that's in the front of the car. So stuff like that. My dad taught me tons about racing, and the relentless information, reading your tires, learning how to actually to truly read a tire, how to properly temperature a tire. What other stuff? So my dad's taught me through the years how I could check the toe in the front of the car by what the tire temperatures are, as crazy as that sounds. And he's right. It's pretty spectacular how it works. I don't know, those would be some of the things. And my dad was always big on engine tuning. My dad always says you have an 8-cylinder motor, which is really 8 single motors all running in harmony. Don't be afraid to run a different range plug in a different hole if that's what it requires to make that cylinder happy. So lots of time spent doing stuff like that, testing that way, making it so that you could put a can of pop on top of the intake manifold or on top of the air cleaner with the car running and not shake the pop up. Because if you can make your car, a race motor, run and idle that smooth, it inadvertently is going to make you more power. Those would be a couple of the big ones. Anything you're thinking, Brandon, that you want to just throw? You can throw out something that we've messed with before.
I was gonna say, like, I've seen a couple of videos of like you've watched how suspension traveled, and like the biggest one I loved was on the rear end, I believe, of the mod before you had to change it, was your scaling of watching how your trailing arms move. So you can see on the videos exactly how much movement was.
Yeah. While I was learning all that craziness, I don't know, that three biscuit, 3 stretchy links or whatever it was. I'd have to look at the video. When I was learning that stuff, I put all scaled increments on the car in certain spots and put cameras underneath it and then watched it. And each track had its own tells on where we were so that I could try and figure out what the frame height really was so that I could squish the car down to that rate again to try and figure out what was really happening. Kind of the low budget way of having a pull down rig, I would figure. I don't know, I've never used a pull down rig yet. One day I will.
So John,
Yep.
So John, your family's been big. Your dad was racing. You got to watch your dad race. Then your dad got to see you start racing. And now you get to see Brock start racing. What was it like to see Brock race in your car? It was the first time. And what was it like to see him have his car for the first time as a proud dad?
So the first time I got to see Brock race the car or even actually drive my car on the track was when I got bit by a recluse spider and had my arm rotting half off. So I had to wear this
I'm sorry,
crazy.
Okay, we're gonna go back to that.
Oh yeah,
we'll jump back to that because that's
yeah.
I got to know more about that.
All right. So anyway, put Brock in the car, and the girlfriend he had at the time made that poor kid so nervous about driving that car that I don't think he remotely did what he could do, because I wholeheartedly think that kid is just one hell of a shoe, to be totally honest. I've watched his race, I know he finished last, and to come in and just see his eyes, and it was neat. Definitely neat as a dad. I think it was pretty cool.
All right, now we need to go out about this recluse spider. What happens?
On a Friday, right before I went to Kawartha Speedway to spectate. Was taking out some garbage from the garbage bunker, and I got bit in the arm by a recluse spider. And they deposit this like poison or whatever, and it started eroding my arm. And by Monday, there was a hole in my arm that you could see to the bone. So I had to get, before my blood thickened or something bad, worse than just being a gross cut, I had to go get the thing packed and wear one of those fanny packs with medication in it for 10 days and stuff. So I was disallowed to play race car because I had a fanny pack with medication in it. So of course it was a race night. So Brock got to jump in the car and go get me some points.
That's That's incredible. So, and your arm's all good now? Like,
yeah, we're good. He's not even, you couldn't even
no
tell anymore.
Wow.
It's good to go.
If I do recall, you won the championship that year because you got those points as well, didn't you?
Yes, Brock was a key factor in that. Same, I broke a bone in my hand middle of the way through that same year at Flamboro in a wreck, and came in and got Brock to tape my hand tight enough that I could squeeze the steering wheel again, and just went back out and finished the race with a busted bone in my hand. That was a bad year. That was a long year.
And you still went out and won the championship?
We had a very successful season. Yes, sir.
Wow. That's incredible there. I'm not gonna lie. That's amazing. I can't recall hearing about too many guys who, would break their hand or any part of their body really and be able to go back in. So I have to applaud you for doing that.
Yeah, no, it hurt so bad. That was a Flamboro. It hurt so bad I pulled off and come in. Brock come over and says, "What's going on?" Because we were running OMRS with no radios. And he's like, "What's going on?" I said, "I'm pretty sure I busted my hand. Get some tape." So he wrapped some tape around it real tight for me to get it kind of to stop throbbing, and went back out and finished up what I had to do, and then went the next day to the hospital and got a little plastic cast deal for it and stuff, and moved on from there.
Jesus. So by the sounds of it, John, it sounds like you've had a very successful career, not only behind the wheel. I want to know what is one of the biggest.
It's going to be crazy, but I've been thinking about this question because you come up with this a lot. And probably on the track, biggest highlight of my entire career was my first ever race win, which was a 50-lap race, because for some reason I couldn't figure out how to win a heat race. And I lucked my way into winning a 50-lapper. Was my first ever win at the Peterborough Speedway. And I remember driving around hearing my dad telling me, "Save the tires, save the brakes, save the tires." And then like Scott McCormick and Reg Woodbeck and everything, I basically steered under him, got under him off of 2, and we're driving around, and probably about 8 laps to go. And we had a caution, and then the pace car comes out and he pulls up 25. I wish there was 400, but I can't make enough yet. But so we've unloaded it quite a few times for different stuff, because why not? You got to have some fun. You got to enjoy it.
Absolutely.
So John, that first feature win that you got, is that also when the water gun story kicked out?
Yeah. That was kind of
You know, it's a good story when his voice changes.
Okay, so there was lots of cars in Peterborough back then. There was 30 plus cars a night.
Okay.
When I started, because I'm like practically a fossil. So you would have to run a total of 8 throughout the night in order to make it into the feature, to the A, like the main feature, because if not, you're in B. So it was incredibly tight racing. It was a lot of fun. There was tons of guys, and specifically my first year, Scott McCormack, Donnie, 07 Jeepers, I can't remember his last name, sorry. Those 2 guys and Reg Woodbeck, the 3 of them in total, would steal races off me on the last lap all the time. I could lead 9 laps, no problem. One of those buggers would just jump up to the top side, drive by me like I was broken. It was almost like they were waiting till it was over to come get me. Anyway, so then later on, we all became quite good race friends, got along good at the track and whatever, and throughout the years. And then we started, one day I ended up with some silly string in the stock car, in a little cubby hole that we had in the middle of the car, because these were stock floor pan cars. And I would go down to the track just for fun once in a while and squirt some silly string out the window at people. And so then it escalated to squirt guns and whatever. So one time I'm on the outside of Pat Wall, we're probably about 8 or 9 laps each, and neither one of us making any ground. Our cars were he had tank. I had Camaro, but they were pretty well matched. And I pulled my water gun out and I started squirting them through my window net and into his car with just a little hand bomb water gun, which at that point he thought he was overheating and let off the throttle, and I went on victory. And so then the next week before the feature, because apparently more people had observed this water gun out the window thing, they stopped me on the front straightaway, and Willie, the flagman at the time, had to go through the car and pull out my squirt guns and my silly string. And I wasn't the only person that was doing it. There was a bunch of us, but it was a lot of fun back then to do stuff like that.
Oh my God.
Yeah. But it would be nothing to use up $2 or $3 M. Well, they weren't even $1 M back then. It was Bargain Arrows or whatever. But 2 or 3 squirt guns worth of water in a feature squirting at people. That really was far off. Yeah, you probably can't do that no more. I'm sure somebody would be way more mad at you now than they were back then.
That would be a whole you'd be kicked out of the track if you try to do that now.
I would assume.
I think it depends if you had the in-car video or not, because the way some of these guys have their overflow hoses, if you hit right in front of the hose, they can't prove it was you. It's like if you don't have the camera facing at you, it's kind of a scapegoat.
You know, that's one thing I've always, it belches all out the right rear corner, and then the track can't find the car it comes from. And then they can't get it off, they can't black you, and they can't stop you. Ever been able to understand? I know I've run races before where I can hear it bubbling and dingling and popping, and the motor's been at 270 degrees, and I know it's puking water. I guarantee you it's puking water. And the track officials are bent down looking at the cars when they drive by. And I've managed to continue to keep going because the track doesn't get to see the water coming out of my car. They just see it on the ground. So I tease Brandon about his car like that, and I'll tease other guys. I just don't understand the need for that. But anyway, if you want to show everybody you're overheating, including the people that can stop you from participating, I guess keep the thing sticking on the fender so the whole world can see the cars boiling over. I don't get it. Not my wheelhouse.
Isn't it in the rules though that like you have to have the overflow for the water like up by the hood, or am I crazy? Yeah,
my car's people don't see it.
That's just insane. Brandon, do you have anything else for right now, or should we just jump into our fan question period?
I think I'm good for right now, and then this way I can save a few questions for the Feeney call later.
Absolutely. All right, John. So right now we're going to enter our fan question period. As you saw earlier today, we tagged you in our post that you were joining us on the program tonight. We got some questions for you. Are you ready to answer them?
Oh yeah, let's do it.
Perfect. Our first one comes to us from Julia Mumford. She goes, "Which one of your children's is your favorite, and which kid do you look up to the most?"
Yeah, good question, Julia. I love all of my kids, whether they're biological or loners. I love them all exactly the same. So, definitely loner. I got a couple of loner kids. They're pretty cool too. There's one of them's trying to take over her bedroom. Keep her bedroom, and I want to take it over as an RC room because it's got the nicest carpet in the whole house. And then my feet will be warm while I'm sitting there. But apparently, she doesn't care about me enough to let me do that. So, good question, kid.
Our next one comes to us from Laval 2525, and he goes, "Who has been your biggest rival? What has been the biggest rivalry you've had while racing?"
The biggest rivalry has been my bank account. By far. I understand what he wanted me to say, but I have battled low to no budget racing. I've spent all my sponsorship money and every extra cent I got. I do everything I can, and I make as much stuff as I can myself. So my biggest rivalry has truly been money. I definitely an issue with that, or well, that's my rivalry, not really an issue. I can make things work, but that would be my biggest rivalry. On the track, I have had so many amazing competitors that have made me work so hard and push all my buttons to just keep me lit and fired up. And that, I can't really pick one person. I know there's a few people out there, and everybody seems to think that, we don't get along, or there's like an evil whatever back and forth, and there is far from that. The most specific one of all is actually lately has always been Chad. And as far as I'm concerned, Chad and I get on great. Like I've looked at his car, different stuff. I've helped him out. He's looked at my car, different stuff. He's helped me out, loaned me parts back and forth. It's so what people think is going on, because specifically with Chad, we race each other to death. And I know how hard I can push to be around him. And I know I got to put my 200% game on with him when we're right close every time. And I know he does the same thing for me. So that could be the answer that was being looked for. But my rivals have changed over different years and different classes and different tracks. So I would say money, my wallet would be the biggest rival. I move back to that one, but there's tons of guys that race against them, but just awesome. And some of them I still get to participate. Years ago in late model, Tim Burke was a thorn in my side. It seemed I couldn't get more than 2 car lengths away from that guy. We had late model cars, and it was a blast to race with him all the time. And now we run our C cars together all the time, and it's like a magnet. It doesn't matter what division or where we're at. Our mentality is the same. Our dedication's the same. So we end up at the same level all the time. So he would be one of those guys too, that I would consider him a rival still today. I raced against him 3 different events today where I was, and the bugger makes it hard for you. And I'm sure I'm making it hard for him too, or at least we're making each other work harder. So it's just lots of people.
See, now, like, I'm gonna be honest, that kind of sounds like what we always hear from a lot of competitors around the era of Dale Earnhardt and when Jeff Gordon came in, where they were big rivalries on track, but away from the track, Jeff Gordon and Dale Earnhardt were actually like really good friends and business partners.
Yep.
Right. It's kind of sound like the same thing between you and Corey there.
Yep. Well, Chad.
Chad. Sorry.
But yeah, I know there's so many guys I raced against. Like it would take me a while to go through the list of all the people, and some of the most talented race car drivers I've seen and witnessed and had the pleasure of racing against have long even retired, quit, switched to dirt. So it's really hard to pick somebody, to be honest, that way. And Brandon is too scared to get a modified car, so.
I'm not too scared to get a modified.
Yes, you are.
Every time I get a car to race against you, you switch divisions. You're scared to run against me.
No, look, man, I've seen you drive. Now, if you didn't do any maintenance on the front half of your car, it's going to become a modified anyway.
I'm trying.
Just start by taking that stuff off. Do it.
You have my broken control arm from me snapping in half and still finishing the race.
I know, and I took the middle piece out of it and I kept it and made it into a control. Low budget to no budget racing.
Oh boy. Our next question to us comes from William_Trillium, and he goes, "What has been the biggest moment of your career?"
Oh man, biggest moment. Well, I don't know. There's a lot. There's lots and lots of stuff. As of right now, I would say winning the 25 lap race at Peterborough Speedway and getting to go down on one knee in front of my racetrack family and friends and ask my girl to become my wife. I would say right now that's probably the biggest moment in my career. A lot of other memories are tainted and smashed up and beat up by like tech, for instance. Win Autumn's colors in the Oscar Modified division. I'm not going to be negative. Any point from the taking the checkered flag until 6 or so hours later, when I finally got to go back to my campsite and everybody was already in bed and gone and the place was empty. There was no celebrating or any of that. Everybody was gone and done. The pits were long cleaned up and packed before I was done tech and whatever. So that kind of stuff drifts away pretty quickly. That's a race. It was an event, a race, a whatever, a great experience. I won. I had a ball, but the big memories are a little different than that. I've met lots of great people. Those are cool memories. Birthday parties in the pits. Like I hate to say it, I've changed a whole bunch. COVID being taken away from the racetrack family environment, people that you might not know what they take in their coffee, but they say hi to you every week and they're nice to be around. They're always encouraging, and people in the grandstands that are encouraging. You're having a crap day, you go for a walk, 40 people are happy to see you and remind you that, you got a car, they don't got a car. You get to go out there. You're running fifth in lap time tonight, but you got a car, you get to do it. So that kind of stuff, I think it takes some of the wins. Like, I'm not saying winning isn't everything, because, you know, we all prep our cars, we all work our tails off, spend our money, our time, our effort to win. But we need to look around at the big picture. And COVID helped me learn a lot of that, and learn that there's a lot of great people out there at a hand's reach that you hardly give, you know, 45 seconds to. And meanwhile, they're good support system for when you're having a crap day or slow day at the track or whatever. So I hope that's a good answer.
I think so far every question we've asked you, you've always had a great answer for. So like, you're doing a great job. Colton Everingham, we kind of touched on this a little earlier. He goes, what is your most memorable win?
Yeah, that was my first one.
Yeah,
the first one.
And then he also goes, what is your favorite memory?
Yeah, that at this point probably was, you know, yeah, I got through that one already. Yeah. Sorry, Colton, I beat your question up. I should have not talked as much. Sorry, buddy.
And then we kind of if you want to add on to this one, I guess it's kind of the same as from Laval there. He goes, Tyler Buian. I guess I hope we say your last name correctly. Who do you consider your biggest competition throughout your career?
Yeah, there's been so many. There's been so many, and Richard Steinfeld. People from Peterborough will remember Richard Steinfeld from a long time ago. He's passed, unfortunately, but Richard Steinfeld was a great person around the track, and he did reasonably well to the late end of his career. And he told me one time that you can be happy and be friendly with the cars that are in the top 10, but the cars you have to lap, you pass more than once a night. So those are the people you need to make your buddy. And I would say that's a pretty good memory too. So hence why I try not to come across aggressive, but if I see someone new at the track, I have no problem to go over and ask them if they understand stagger, or explain to them, you know, some of the stuff that we do on our car. Every car's different, and there's more than 50 ways to make the car go around a corner, but I try my best to help anyone, encourage them. And if you see somebody having a bad
fear. So obviously with you racing the modifieds, I'm always curious, because again, I've never raced before. So for a guy like myself, these questions do seem stupid a lot of times.
Nope, we're good.
But I know Brandon's over there, like, he asked a lot of stupid questions. Like, you know,
he wanted to know why I wouldn't ask him to marry me.
Right? We can talk about that. So before we got on here, Brandon made a comment about how John didn't propose to him. So guys, you want to take away that story?
So there's certain things. Yeah. So the joke was, Cheryl had a certain date to propose to John because he wanted to be proposed to, basically keeping Cheryl at the loop, just like I kept John at the loop. I was going to be here tonight. So he was basically keeping her on edge and stuff like that. And I think he had 3 more days till she hit the deadline. So the joke was that she was going to hit the deadline and I was going to jump, you know, because John knows so much about racing. I'm like, I could just, you know, marry him for all that knowledge. You'd get to be the smart one in the relationship.
Yeah. So we had a contingency plan. If Cheryl said no when I asked her, Brandon was going to run down from the grandstand screaming, I got it, I'll take the ring. So we were, that way I didn't get left out first. You know what I mean? He's my buddy. He's trying to help me out.
Oh man.
Well, sorry,
that's awesome.
What other questions you got, buddy?
So racing in the modifieds, again, like you said, I don't race these cars. I don't know anything about these cars. You said to yourself, you race a lot of different disciplines of racing, four-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive, late models. What's been one of the biggest things you've noticed over your career that has really helped you in the modifieds?
Biggest noticeable thing. The 4-cylinder education with the 4-cylinder for momentum. The modified cars, like we run currently on 11-inch recap tire, and it's pretty decent tire, to be totally honest. But everybody has like the same engine, whether it's a built motor or crate motor. You got weight penalties for different, and they're pretty much the same. There's nobody making 50 more horsepower than anybody else. So if you can't get your car through the middle 3 cars in the corner, that's where the other guy's gonna beat you. You need to get the roll, you need to get the whatever. So I would say driving the original 4-cylinder carbureted 60 horsepower or whatever it was Honda was a major advantage over. I feel that I learned over some other people I've raced against, because you had to plan a pass 2 laps in advance. You got to memorize what that guy's doing in front of you. You need to make sure, everybody's got a tell. I got tells when I'm going to set up to try and pass somebody or whatever, and everybody else has a tell. And if you're not on the ball watching those other guys, learning them, paying attention to them, then you're not going to be able to keep your momentum and get a run or a roll on them. So I would say that's probably the best thing, just learning momentum. And that obviously you haven't driven a mod, but when you scrub the tires in your modified car and you watch that left front tire go from gray to black, and you go flying down in turn 3 at Peterborough Speedway, and you go through the lumps and the bumps and the jumps, and that tire goes up, and you can see the black mark on the tire move back and forth. It's almost distracting. There is just something amazing about watching that, the tread pattern color change on the tire. It's just neat. I wish there was a better way to describe it, and I would put video up on what it does, but then you might see something else. So I just keep those videos in my own collection, because I don't want too many people to see anything we're trying or experiment with. But that's something almost unreal with the mods. Like, you can actually see tires when they're dirty, you see them get clean. You can verify. You watch a black line start in the middle of the tire and skew its way in towards the hood as the car, like away from the inside edge of the tire towards the wall side.
Yeah.
Every lap when you go into 3, you can see the line come and going like that. It's just neat. It's just really neat.
No, I'm see with it
the
being
modified cars.
No, go ahead.
Sorry, go on. Oh, and with the modified cars being so low to the ground, like they do have suspension travel, they do go up and down, but it really feels like you're in just a wicked high-powered go-kart. And I mean, I'm like just shy of 400 pounds of human sliding around or glued to the side of the seat, and you can turn the car hard enough to keep your chest and your like jammed right in the armrest and stuff. It's pretty amazing. It's neat. It's really neat. That's the big draw for me to that car. It's just how you get to look at the tires and how they go in the corner. It's cool.
So again, that kind of leads me into my next question here. Obviously, running a open wheel car, you really can definitely see those tires, like you were just talking about, and how they work. That's obviously something you take notice of lap after lap by the sounds of it, because in the end those tires are really what keeps you glued to that racetrack. So watching the wear and kind of watching like the line, is it really just like one of those things? It's as you continue to race, you keep learning how the tire reacts. Is that kind of like in the realm there?
Oh yeah, the day you stop learning in racing is 2 days after you sold everything you ever owned. If you're doing it right, you'll never not learn. A funny one for Cheryl, fresh into my world, we made a bracket for the rear suspension in the car. She got to use a milling machine for the first time, learning that if you're going to date me, it's a hands-on thing, because you're not only a girlfriend, you're a helper. We machined up a bracket and stuff, and she got to use a milling machine and stuff, put it on the car, and then went out to the track, and the car was absolutely god-awful. It was ridiculous. I pretty much had a hard time not spinning it out. It was just horrible. I pulled in the pits and said to the boys, all right, let's jack it up, take all that stuff out of there. And she was a little dejected on the whole process itself. Then I said to her, you're looking at this wrong. We made that arm a horrendous amount shorter. We changed the angle, blah, blah, blah. And she said, yes. I'm like, well, on the next round for next week, we're going to make that arm longer, and we're going to change the angle the opposite way. So although for today, this didn't move forward, we did move forward and came back the next week, engineered some different stuff, went out with it, and it was an improvement. It just, we improved the wrong direction the first week. So, you got to never stop trying or moving, and any adjustment is an adjustment. It just might not have been a positive one for that point.
I was gonna say, you hear that kind of week in and week out with NASCAR, is every time they make a pit stop, there's they can be really, really fast, and they make 2 psi pressure change and take a round of wedge out thinking the track's gonna do something, and it doesn't do that. It's kind of the same thing with short track racing. We got to try stuff, and if it doesn't work that week, guess what? We can come back the next week, because usually if we're running the same track, it's easy to try something 1 week, and if it doesn't work, either go back or try, like you said, something else.
Yeah.
It's that's the one thing, the beauty part about racing is that, like you said yourself, you never stop learning. To this day, I as much as I've crewed, and as much as I'm doing this every day, I'm still learning new things. Feeney over there is teaching me new freaking things about racing, and
it's mostly things
weird.
I learned off John.
So one of the big things to put out there for this year for the super stocks, some of the assorted tracks switching to a cost-effective, way racier friendly, way better, just plain old better. I could come up with a million other ones. They're switching to a recap tire. My advice to anybody running the recap tire: put it on the car, do your deal, get your staggers, whatever you want. Next week when you come to the racetrack, only reset the air pressure to what it was at the end of the feature from the week before. Then go out and get the tire hot and then check your staggers, because on a recap tire, if you chase your staggers cold air when you first get to the racetrack, you'll be chasing your tail a whole bunch. So that's one of, everybody kind of made jokes before how good I was with all these recap tires. I did all this crazy stuff to them, whatever, but in the end, I just learned them. And that's one huge thing, because they will change in their circumference and they are all egg shaped and blah, blah, blah. But I mean, an egg-shaped tire, a tire on a race car is always flat where it's touching the ground. So how bad does it matter if it's a little egg-shaped? It's got air in between it and the rim. But anyway, just like I said, food for thought, especially you, Brando. Make sure you just go back to last week's air. Don't go don't try and get this exactly. If you had 3 inches in the back and 2 in the front, don't try and get that with cold air when you first get to the track. Put last week's air in it, get the tires hot again, verify your numbers. That would be a huge thing I would like people to hopefully try. At least just try it and shut me up. Try it anyway, whatever, if it works.
Another kind of, I can't remember if we actually did talk about it, but Brandon, one of the actually no, we did talk about it. You being one of the most entertaining guys in Victory Lane.
Yeah.
We kind of did touch on that, but like Brandon always talks about all these videos and stuff, and I'm gonna be honest, I've only seen a couple of them. So yeah. I want to know why is it when you get to Victory Lane, it's we see, I guess you can say, a different side of John, or is it actually you just coming out?
It's him coming out, to be honest.
Just John. So there's extra pressure I put on people that finish in the top 5 all the time, whether it's their own families. My family's support is horrendous, but the pressure is probably worse than the support, or it feels that way. And it's just, you can have the fastest car and you can win practice and you can win your qualifiers, and every other go there's changing stuff all night long. So when you get out there in the feature and it's you, your brake management, your tire management, and lady luck to get out there and get it done, every feature is every race is its own experience.
Yeah.
And I can't help but admit, I'm like a 5-year-old kid for the last 2 laps, whether I'm running 10 at night, because that's what I got. I got a 10th place car, or I was a 10th place driver in a first place car, because that happens. Sometimes I just blow my brains. But anyway, it happens. And I just get wicked excited. I come out of the corner and I see that checkered flag and I literally feel 18 again, like it was my first ever win. And it just absolutely overwhelmed. That's probably the best way to word it. Everyone is just like, yeah, I can't believe I did it again. So many variables, and yet you managed to pull a rabbit out of a hat again. So that's probably where the entertainment value comes. And then it's just me. You're dealing with me. So.
That's awesome.
Speaking of that.
Oh. No, go ahead.
I know you like. Okay, speaking of that, I know you like dirt cars. So we race these kind of cars. This car here. Dirt looking. So this is called a big block mud boss car. We race these indoors and outdoors as well. If you wanted to get into something like that, it looks more like a dirt car. I know you do a whole bunch of dirt car stuff. But just saying, you can purchase everything to make that car extreme in Oshawa. Anyway, sorry, go on.
Oh my God.
He'd probably like that sprint car you got hiding on the wall on the other side of the bookshelf.
I don't like that car, Brandon.
but John likes sprint cars.
Fair enough, but that was not a good purchase. We'll just leave that on the show. Yeah. So when I was, I co-op for Emodio's Hobby House when grade, I don't know, 9, 10, whatever it was. And I got to race with a couple of amazing guys back then, Cheesebro and Lupo, and they would tote me around as the token kid that they were stuck dealing with, tote me around to some of these racetracks and stuff. And that's where I met Jeremy Dobb. So like Jeremy Dobb, my friendship goes back to, 14, 15 years old. Raced against him way back then. Then I got out of it for a long time and then slowly worked my way back into it. And now they've come up with a bunch of different divisions now for oval track and also for some road course like jumps and stuff, indoor carpet, outdoor clay, whatever. I don't really like the outdoor tracks because it's really hot out. And if I'm going to be hot, I want to drive my big car. But anyway, so this year Belleville's doing an outdoor series, and there's Peterborough Chump Series has got outdoor series. But that's how I got back into it, and then did pretty good around here. And I would take on my current chassis that I built right now, and I would just chop it up, make a new one. And then there'll be like 40 things I don't like on that one, and I do it again. So in order to save myself some money, I have a different pastime to keep me out of the garage.
You know what? I don't blame you. That's actually really good.
Yeah.
So, which is funny you say that. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
So it's funny you say that because I never knew this world existed. Like I had an RC car, when you're like 15, 16 and you're making $15 an hour, you think you're making stupid money. I bought myself a little RC truck from one of the places down in Mississippi. I've been seeing some of your posts about doing the RC stuff, and I'm like, I didn't know that was even a thing. Like I thought this was just like at hobby shops. I think Jordan Fiddler does it as well. Oh, now I got to go. Jordan, if you're listening, I'm sorry, buddy. I can't remember I remember we talked about that with Jordan recently as well. So
there's a ton of guys from the big world 1-to-1 scale cars that race the scaled cars all winter long. Tons of people, tons of them. It's awesome.
Oh yeah, it's you know what? It's a great way to pass the winter. It seems a lot cost effective instead of going to indoor go-karting. I like some people who probably got kicked out. Not going to name names, but
not me.
No, I think you know what? I
run at Nebs anymore.
See, there it is. Right?
Nebs. They're taking their go-karts at
speed, John. Both.
Oh boy,
yeah.
I'd hate it. I'm going to be honest. I hate it.
Yeah.
I need the gas.
Oh, the gas, sorry,
I need the gas go-karts. I can't do the electric.
Yeah, but they've come a long way with electric go-karts now.
But I went to K1 like 2 years ago, and it was terrible.
It's not the Mario Kart ones in Niagara Falls. Those ones are horrible.
Oh, those are horrible.
Like, they can't even hardly make it up the hill.
Yeah. Hold on. I got a bad story about that one, okay? It wasn't Niagara Falls, but it was do you guys ever remember NASCAR Speed Park at Vaughan Mills?
Yes. I've done that one a few times. I love that place.
Do you remember the indoor track that they had, the figure 8 track that was up on the second level?
No, I never ran that one.
Okay, so they had a figure 8 track up on the second level, and it overlapped each other. Okay, I was 15 at the time. My mom took us there for a few hours. My brother, my sister, myself, and we, my brother and me especially, I only weighed maybe 200 pounds at the time, maybe 200 pounds, maximum like 220. Well, I didn't carry, many laps. I could not carry enough speed to go back up the hill. So me or my brother had to stop. We were 220, if that. And we couldn't make it up the hill. So like every time everyone's like, oh no, we should go do the one Niagara Falls one. I'm not trusting that. That is 3 loops. I am not making it up there. If the one in freaking Vaughan Mills couldn't get my fat ass up a freaking 180 and go uphill, there's no way I'm making a 3 looper in Niagara Falls. You need to give me one of the higher powered ones from like the ones from outskirts of Niagara to bring there for my fat ass to get up those 3.
Yeah. I want a full figure go-kart.
Hold on. So even better. In November, we went down to Niagara Falls. There's a few of us that went down for a weekend. We decided to go go-karting on a Saturday, but it was an actual go-kart, not facility, but it was better than the one that they offer on top of the hill. So The guy looked at me, he goes, "Oh, go to number this one, okay?" So I look at him like, I'm not fitting in that, but he told me to get in there. I must be able to fit. I couldn't fit. I got one leg in. My other leg is sitting on top of the steering wheel. And the guy looks at me, he's like, "Why did you even try this?" I'm like, "Because he told me to." So I had to go into
it was a 50% chance.
And then he puts me in the family cart. There was 3 of us who had to go sit. There was myself, Feeney, you met Garrison. He's tall and big, right?
Yeah.
Me, him, and Rick Mitchell all had to go into the double seaters, the family carts. Because we were too big for their other ones. And they go,
they were gas powered though?
They were gas powered, but they go, "Oh, you should be fine. They're only 5 miles an hour slower." Meanwhile, I'm like going behind Megan. I can catch her in the corners because I can carry more speed. But like down the straightaways, they had like a couple long straightaways. I'm like, and it's just like, I'm like, I need those 5 horses. Like,
well, there's 5 horsepower and a weight difference too. It's like she's got the built motor in a lighter car, and you got the crate with a heavier car. It just doesn't make any sense.
100%. But I could have caught her. It was. Oh man, but no, I need to go. But the problem was that every lap they gave you had to stop and give them a ticket.
Oh, I know that place. I know exactly what place that is.
So there's one in Mississauga that does it. There's one in Niagara. I'm sure they're out everywhere. So you don't give they don't do 10 lap races. They're just like, you got to stop and give them a ticket. You got to go down a pit road each time. It's like, no, you don't understand who I go-karting with. Yeah. You can't make us stop.
Yeah. It's so there's one up here called I think it's Wild Water and Wheels in Peterborough. Okay. They have those tracks. So it's like, oh, I don't know if there's. I think the kart track's open, but the water slides and stuff closed. Either way, long story short, you go down pit road, but we were so competitive, we were locking up at the guy to hand the ticket how fast we can, to then punch it back out there.
That's what I did. Because I would come in right behind Megan, and I was almost bumping her to get up there, and I wasn't even slowing down. I was handing the guy the ticket and trying to stay right up on Megan to try, because once you got off a pit, it was a straightaway. So if I can just stay somewhat with her down that straightaway, I'm good the rest of the way. But I needed to stay close to her to be able to make a pass somewhere else along the way.
Now you know how I feel with the crate in my super stock.
Crates are cool. It's hold to the floor and pump the brakes.
You use the brakes?
No, not required, man. Huh?
You use the brakes?
You gotta use the brakes. Hey, Brandon, speaking of Wild Water and Wheels, that's on Chemong and Peterborough, right?
Correct.
Yeah. At that, right by there, they race this kind of car in the Peterborough Cup Series. This is a TTO2, and there's an MO5 or something. Anyway, they race this kind of car at that series there, and they do, I believe, 2 nights a week parking lot racing. And this year, in that same area, somewhere right along there, they're putting a dirt track in for everybody to race with, just to get that out there for the RC.
That's awesome. All right, man. Jon, it has been an absolute pleasure chatting with you tonight. We're gonna have to get you back on, and of course, Feeney, you're more than welcome to come back on anytime as well. But Jon, man, we gotta thank you for joining us this week. We're gonna give you the next couple of minutes, open floor. You get to thank anyone you want to, all the way from your mom, all the way down to your first dog when you were born and only knew it for 3 months, and thank your sponsors along the way. This is the floor is open for the next couple of minutes for you. Let it fly, man.
All right. Well, I've had amazing time playing race car with lots of amazing people throughout the years. This sponsors throughout the years, I've done great. I'm very fortunate. I know a lot of people run their programs without as much backing as I can end up getting. So for this year, at this point, confirmed is Gen 3, Fotheringham Bookkeeping, Macintosh Funeral Homes, RoTacRepair.ca, Whitby South Medical, Oshman Hearing Aid Clinic. They're all the confirmed people as of right now, and there's a couple of good prospects that might jump back on board again next year. So we thank you guys for this year in advance, and thank you for the years past. And I have a few sponsors that COVID eliminated, unfortunately, And I thank them for all the years they were with me there. They helped out dramatically. I put all their money the best use I could and managed to have a lot of fun with it. And I appreciate all their help. Okay. So I'd like to thank a huge driving force in all this. My parents, my mom and dad. My mom has passed now. My dad's new girlfriend, Susan, has jumped on to some race car and is very supportive. And that's awesome because she comes from a different world. Also got to thank all of my crew members. If it wasn't for you guys, and I've had a bunch of crew members over the year, and everyone is, given to the team and done what they could do, and their life's changed, and then they can't help out as much. And I totally understand, but I appreciate everything they've ever done. Those 2 tracks.
Awesome.
Oh, and I don't know the duration yet, but OMRS has secured Friday to run OMRS cars on our tires and our trim to run a full show on Friday at Autumn's Colors this year. So we'll be participating on Friday night at Autumn's Colors. I don't think it's a secret. I think I read it somewhere too. But anyway, I don't know the lap count. I'm not, they got all that in, but we will have a full show of our own cars, and hopefully as many people as we have for the summer will all come support that event. And then, so you get to see our cars run on Friday, and then Saturday will be the Oscars, and Sunday will be the Oscar feature with the Oscar trim modifieds. And a couple of our guys probably will blend their cars over from series to series, I would. So it'll be kind of cool to see some more familiar faces and different people at Autumn's for that.
That's awesome to hear. That's going to be great. And you know what? That's going to be great way to end the season. Right?
Yep.
So John, again, we want to thank you for joining us this week on the True North Racing Podcast. We hope you had yourself a great time. You're more than welcome back anytime.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, I was pretty nervous about this, but this was way easier. I thought you were going to go into a ton of crazy questions, but instead it was just like chewing the fat and having some fun. So
next time.
Oh yeah.
Next time we'll get you.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
So this one's for you. I appreciate you doing this, and I really hadn't heard of it until you had mentioned it to me. I know Brandon sort of mentioned it, and he mentioned me, and I went through and watched a whole bunch of education for people through COVID and stuff. So I'm not unapproachable, as I've been told that I am at the track. I'm not unapproachable. I'm probably just focused. I enjoy talking to people and being around people, and this kind of stuff I think is something that short track racing needs more of, this platform stuff, so that people understand we're all people. We all go to work. We're all tired. We all play with the race cars during the night. We do what we can do in the price range we can afford, and we're trying to max out our fun on it. So thank you for doing this for us guys.
No problem. Thank you. Thank you for running, because if it wasn't for you guys, I don't have a show. That's
fair
the best
enough,
way to look
but
at it.
I think you're having a positive impact in the racing world.
Hey guys, I'm really sorry about cutting off the conversation, like what happened there. I think something happened during the transferring last night from our recording to the file saved. Unfortunately, I'm really sorry, guys. We did have an issue around that time, so I think that's what ended up causing the issue to cut off our conversation with John Baker Jr. Now let's get. I'm sorry, I hate to do this, but we got to get back to the rest of the show with myself and Brandon. Enjoy the rest of the show, guys. We always just called her Sandra.
Hey, Sandra's here.
See? So she sounds like a Sandra, so it just works that way.
Now you got to delete all this part because it sounds like Sandra.
I don't even know how. Anyways, we're back from our conversation with John Baker Jr. Of course, we want to thank John for joining us this week. It was great getting to know him. I didn't know too much about him. I know you do. Racing at Peterborough and whatnot, so you guys have a history. It's great to see that. I loved how prepared he was for the hard questions, not knowing that we didn't bring. But to be fair, it's one of those things, like we kind of knew he was. She stopped us from recording, so now I got to do a whole other thing once we're fully done here. Before we go, because we're going to keep this nice and short and sweet tonight, because we got to do some work. And of course we both got work in the morning. Brandon, you started a new podcast called the Feeney Call.
I did. I got but I'm going to include all motorsports. So I grew up doing the demolition derbies and stuff like that. So like, I'm going to have a little bit of derby content in there, a little bit of racing. I got a little bit of road racing coming in, some motorcycle racing, stuff like that from people that are coming on. I've got about 12 guests lined up.
Hamlin drops his by tomorrow morning, his podcast Monday morning. I'm able to listen to yours whenever you drop yours. So I don't know when you're thinking of dropping the new episodes, but if it's later in the week, you're going to be on Prime Real Estate with me to be able to listen near the end of the week.
Well, here's the thing is, so like I think Action's Detrimental is Monday.
Yep.
You're Tuesday.
Yep.
Stickers and Scuff was Wednesday, I believe.
Yep.
So I was thinking either Thursday or Friday as like a prequel to the racetrack and stuff once we get to real racing.
Yep.
But I'm going to try to get a couple episodes recorded so I can figure if I'm going to do this weekly or bi-weekly. It's all a new learning curve. I've helped you a couple times. I've been a guest a couple times, but I don't know what I'm doing.
Do any of us? Like, I still don't know what I'm doing half the time.
Yeah. Thankfully, Sandra knows what she's doing.
She takes 10 minutes to finally let us start recording. So do we really think can we really trust her? I don't think so.
She heard some of the things that we were saying off air. She was making sure we were good.
Okay, so anyone who doesn't know, we record using Zoom, and there is usually a little voice that comes on when you start recording to let all parties know that you're recording. Back in the days that when we started out doing the driver's seat with Caitlin and Megan, one of the first episodes, it took us a while. Again, same kind of deal. Sandra took a while to connect, but she always seems like she has an attitude whenever she says, "You are now recording." So our running joke is that the little voice that Zoom uses, we call her Sandra. And we feel like it works. So if anyone's who's going to be a future guest, you'll understand what I'm meaning when you hear it.
Or if we start talking about Sandra in the middle of a podcast, like I just did.
Exactly. Because, we do stop and restart our episodes when the guest comes in. We don't just continue recording, which there would be a lot of stuff and we'd be in a lot of trouble.
You're not supposed to break the fourth wall.
Too late.
Yeah, now people are going to realize it's like WWE.
But we break the fourth wall. That's the point. It's a conversation between us, but we're talking to them.
Yeah, but the fourth wall is like recognizing the cameras and stuff are there and like.
That's true. So where can they? So you're going to be available on your podcast is going to be available on Spotify, YouTube, kind of the same kind of deal.
Yeah, I'm hopefully using the same broadcast that you are for uploading things. Luckily, I've had you and Cam and stuff to bounce ideas off of. I'm probably going to have a little bit of a teaser of an intro I got done by Roger Muth at Turn 3 Productions. If you've heard of him, it's probably because you watch my iRacing stuff. He actually broadcasts my iRacing for the Red Light series on Monday and Thursday nights. But he does great graphic work because you've already seen it, John. So you know exactly what I'm talking about. And that was like,
dude, I can't wait to see the full thing in action here.
Unfortunately, my editing is going to let it down a little bit because I'm working on trying to get the sound from that to go to like you've seen the rest of the intro that I've uploaded on TikTok and stuff. So we'll see. It's fine tuning and stuff, but we'll eventually get there.
100%. It'll take some time, but hey, it is what it is. We're at episode 93 here. I still don't know what the hell I'm doing half the time. Right? So like you're going to be fine. I know I trust in you. I believe in you. And you can always fall back on Cam and myself for any questions. Don't get too technical with me anyways, because it's weird because I get told like, oh, you're so good at being like a techie. I'm like, you understand my background, right? This is just something I've kind of picked up, not anything I know anything about. I can turn on Zoom, I can hit record. Thankfully, there's a lot of other programs and people that have been helping me who have told me how to do certain things. And I feel like I've come a long way compared to episode 1.
Well, that's the thing is episode 1 is always like, and when you start this, like you start as a trial, like I'm the same way you probably were. I'm like, I don't think anyone's going to listen. Cam mentioned this when we had him on for episode, what was it, 80 something?
Yeah, something like that.
But he mentioned, he's like, you don't think anyone's going to ever listen. You don't know how big it's going to grow. And then we talked about it back when you came to Peterborough Speedway. Like I've wanted to do this, especially talking with you, and like I've had issues. Like even when we did our podcast, when I was a guest, I was like, did I sound okay? Was this okay? Was that okay? Because my English always isn't, perfect, right? Because I've stuttered. I've smashed my head so many times it freaking jumbles up sometimes. So hopefully we make it coherent, and I know big words.
Someone was playing Scrabble earlier.
I've actually never played Scrabble.
Neither have I. I've just always been good at using words from the dictionary.
The one thing is I'm not great at spelling anymore. Well, I
Yeah.
wasn't ever great growing up, but I got better. Then I smashed half that memory out. So I'm like playing Scrabble. I'm like, I don't want to play that and spell the word wrong and then not get any points. Like, you know what I mean? Like
100%. I get that.
So this is why I'm a race car driver and I bowl. It takes a lot less thinking.
Exactly. Brandon, where can they catch you on social media?
So you can catch me on social media on Facebook. I have Beefy Motorsports, and I just started the Feeney Call page. I don't even think I have a single like on it yet. I've put down my YouTube is now Beefy Media Productions instead of just Beefy Motorsports. I think my TikTok is Brandon Feeney, and I think I've got other. I don't even know what social medias I have. I think Instagram's Beefy Motorsports as well. Yeah, you didn't even know I started that page. Lucky you, look.
I just followed.
Yeah, you just probably heard my phone come off. By the way, if you see that picture you just posted up, that's my iRacing car in the little circle there. So it's my iRacing car that's made to look like my real car by Ryan O'Donnell, who is going to be starting a podcast called Shiny Things. And it's going to be about like collecting diecasts and stuff like that. So Ryan, I hope you listen. I'm going to tag you in this because I brought you up. So, you have to start your podcast. And I might be a guest on there talking diecast. Maybe I'll bring you over there with me. We can, because you definitely have a few shiny things.
Yes, I do. I whole. Yeah, that'd be fun, man.
The best part is the one that's above your left ear or to the screen, the right ear is, the little lefter. That one. No, you were on the one. The Pete Vanderwees car there.
Yes.
That was a grail of a find, and I can't wait to see it with the truck.
Oh yeah, I gotta go get that. I'm going to the storage unit this week. I'm gonna dig out the truck and trailer, and I will. I'm gonna send you a picture, and of course, I gotta get you a T-shirt once they come in. Because I know right now our good friend Taylor Sheen over there at Taylor to You is really busy right now with her work. We're trying to get T-shirts in. We're gonna use a different supplier to start with. So, Brandon, after this, shoot me your address.
You don't know my address?
No, I don't know your address. What do you think I am? A freaking Yellow Pages?
Well, maybe, or at least Yelp.
Nope, I'm not going there tonight.
Google reviews.
And I said earlier, I'm going to be at practice next week at Flamboro Speedway. So if you guys see me, stop me, say hi, yell at me if you don't like the show, say hi if you like the show.
What if they yell hi?
Oh, I don't know. I'm going to be confused.
If you yell hi and you make them confused, if you don't like it, give them the middle finger. If you do, give the wave with it. Like
if you don't like me, yell hi and wave. Or if you like me, yell hi and wave. If you don't like me, yell hi and give me the finger. That's probably the best way to do it.
Because, at least then you're being social.
But again, it depends on who you're talking to, because there's going to be people who may like me, who know me, and will know that they'll give me the finger. It's like, oh, son of a...
Yeah, I did that.
You would do that.
I did that when you showed up to Peterborough.
Exactly. There's a few people I know would do that.
But then you know them, so you know they're doing that.
Exactly, right? I should be at a Flamboro Speedway. I'm bringing GoPros. So I'm going to try to shoot some different content. Fingers crossed it's going to work. Hopefully I don't break any GoPros while I'm in the process of doing it, because those are expensive. So unless anyone would like to sponsor me a GoPro, that would be fantastic. You guys will be up on the GoPro footage week in and week out. So yeah.
Or just those cheap action sport cameras that you can put under the car for $29.
YouTube. And you guys can also find us at Joe.
Last time
it did work, but it some areas were still chewy, and I've learned some things since. So I'm gonna try some things next time, which I'm hoping is gonna work out a lot better.
By the way, I hope you make this part.
I think I should. And next Sunday, get ready for those fan questions to get them in before 8 p.m. please, because just so I have time to write them all down, because sometimes it takes me a little while. Hey everyone, once again, I'm really sorry about how the way this conversation ended. We're done recording, so unfortunately we got to cut off our conversation there. We want to thank John Baker Jr., Brandon Feeney, Megan Mitchell for joining me this week on the True North Racing Podcast. His new podcast, The Feeney Call, on Facebook. Just search up The Feeney Call. I've reshared it on my personal Facebook page the other night. Thank you guys for listening to the True North Racing Podcast. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, share, comment, do whatever you guys need to do. Like what you see, make sure you guys give us a subscribe, a like, to help us out. Thank you guys for listening to the True North Racing Podcast. My name is John Morrison, and on behalf of everyone who joined me tonight, thank you guys for listening. Bye now.
True North Racing, let's go.